Hello. Sneak peek there. Hello, everybody. I don't know if you can hear my cat drinking behind me. Not off-putting at all. I'll leave you with her for 2 seconds while I check everything's working. Okay. Hello. How is everyone? How are we all doing? It has been a very interesting week. I suppose first I should apologise for not being here last week. I was really poorly. Everyone's really poorly. Apparently everyone is getting really ill right now, and I got it. Thankfully, I didn't actually get it quite as bad as my partner. So I'm looking after a grown-ass man with man flu, to say it politely. But it's been fun. I've been finally getting back to normal. Last week we had a pretty good episode. If you didn't catch it, we have a members only stream on the third Thursday of every month. And you can literally be a Patreon member for as little as £1, I think. £1 subscription, or you can just buy it once, I think, for £5. It's pretty good. It's pretty good. What are you doing? You're up to something. That's going to be a regular part of my stream, unfortunately. Unfortunately. So yeah, I thought it's Monday. It's a little bit late for a Monday, but I thought we could have a nice chat, bit of fun. There's loads to catch up on. The last live episode, the members only one, we did something called remote viewing. I don't know where you sit on the spiritual spectrum, as it were, but remote viewing, I'm not gonna lie, I first had to go on my own, and I'm sorry if you've already watched this and I'm just repeating myself. I was very skeptic. Like, ugh. I was like, there's no way this works. And looking at how it was used in World War II by CIA and the FBI, it just seemed a bit, when this news came out that it wasn't actually that great, that the results were quite mixed. For anyone that doesn't know, remote viewing is the ability to view something, a target, without actually being there, viewing it in person. I don't know if I'm describing that very well, but it's a strange thing that's used. It was used in the army, during the Cold War, and apparently people were able to remotely view army structures, camps where different things were hidden, and they were able to make out certain landmarks. And again, the results were quite varied. So we went and had a go. Well, I had a go on my own because I was like, and it was very like half effort attempt. I was watching something on TV and I was also scrolling on my phone, and this thing about remote viewing came up. And I remember watching a Shane Dawson podcast where he talks about remote viewing, and he had a go and he was scarily accurate. But like most things on YouTube, I was like, do I trust this? I don't know if I trust this, but I want to have a go. And it gave me instructions on what to do. to basically clear your mind, go to that mindfulness practice that I'm very capable of. It's just clearing your mind, picturing that blank canvas, and then whatever comes to you in a sort of, oh no, that was it. I had to picture that I'm looking at a picture. And just, I was trying to pretend that I could see it like through the back of my phone, if that makes any sense. I turn my phone round. Here's my process. I realize I'm jumping through a little bit. I went to Google Images, searched landscape, clicked on like the third image, scrolled 3 times without looking at it, and then closed my phone, like turned it off. And then through the back of my phone, I was like, I can see this picture. But I was kind of being like I said, a bit silly and a little bit skeptical. So I wasn't really expecting anything to come from it. Hey, Khaled. Yeah, I wasn't expecting anything to come from it at all. So I was just like, ugh, pink, triangles, whatever. And then I picked up my phone, turned it round, and it was literally the Egyptian pyramids with like the most beautiful sunset. It was literally like this going to pink, going to yellow. And I was like, hold on a second. Am I psychic? Am I psychic? Hold on. Hold on. And I gave it a few more goes, and it was really strange how you kind of pick out these different. I don't know. It's learning how to get rid of what you think you're second guessing, which is a core problem of most people that suffer from mental health issues. A lot of the time, we second guess ourselves. And that can be exhausting in normal life. But if you're trying to focus on something that's not quite so tangible, that I'm not a full believer in, it's very hard to do. How you doing, Khaled? Khaled Sexy. That's a good name. I absolutely love DJ Khaled. But yeah, so we did remote viewing on the last live members stream, and it was fun. Just remember to like and subscribe, guys. I know this is a bit strange right now, but this is, if you don't know, daytime check-in. I know I don't look like a therapist. Very much am. I'm from, can you hear my cat running around? A Different Human Design, which is a neurodivergent and championing the different type of platform. Does that make sense? Probably not. What we do is we offer free and instant access to mental health resources. We know there's a huge gap in care at the minute. The NHS is trying to fight those backlogs, but in the meantime, we can't really wait around for that, right? And the information that you're given by the NHS, it's a little bit, what's the word? I don't want to be offensive. It's a little bit brief, doesn't go into much detail. So our aim is to bridge that gap. That gives a few examples of symptoms for ADHD, for example. And I know for me, first looking at that, I was like, hyperactivity, not really, not as an adult. I know I definitely had some as a kid. You're like, I'm just looking at things and I'm just looking at the different points. If I had my computer in front of me right now, we could go through them. That would be really useful. But when me and Lindsay were going through them, we realised they're just not that helpful. Neither of us could relate to these symptoms by just looking at them. So when I was diagnosed, it was quite a shock. And Lindsay, after working with children with different types of neurodivergent types, brain types, it was only then when she realised that she might have a neurodivergent brain of her own. And these are 2 different people, me and Lindsay, who have an interest in mental health, have worked with mental health, and it never clicked. And why is that? We had someone join the podcast on the first Thursday of this month. The first Thursdays are for everyone. You don't have to be a member. And someone said, how do you feel in the chat? Someone said, how do you feel about people self-diagnosing? I know it's a little bit of a people debate this a lot, right? I know there's some strong schools of thought. There's a lot of people that are, and I get it. You see these TikToks where it's like, I saw a squirrel, ADHD, or I saw, oh God, I need to clean this up, I'm so OCD, and that can get a little bit annoying. However, with mental health, we are, with every day, coming into new bits of information, new resources are being understood, the brain is being understood more, research is really developing how we understand mental health. Hey K-Man, how you doing? So, what was I saying? He brain ninjaed me. This is the problem with inattentive ADHD and trying to stream live. I'm like, hi, and then just forget what I was saying. That's not very useful. Self-diagnosis. Yeah, so it can get a little bit annoying seeing that over-repetitive posts about your mental health disorder that you have personally, that you might have fought a long time to get that diagnosis, or feel a real sense of grief for the past you that could have lived a much better life had you got your diagnosis. And it can be really triggering to see these posts thinking like, oh, everyone's got it now. And I think it comes from multiple things. One, like I said, the development of new information from research. And then there's also that internal fight that you've got for yourself, that level of advocacy, that level of already feeling unfairly treated by the world. It's very, it can feel quite alone. And then suddenly to see everyone's got it, like it's a new pair of, I don't know, jeans that everyone's buying. It's just a new trend. It can feel like that, and it can feel a little bit offensive. It can feel a little bit, what's the word? Insensitive. Okay, man, can I have some relationship advice? You most certainly can. Go ahead. And then, yeah, so I understand people get very triggered, and there is a lot of misinformation online. However, if you watch a few TikToks that are talking about a type of mental health, or even something physical, like endometriosis, something that struggles to be diagnosed in the real life, it can be quite useful, I think, to get that perspective from people that have been through it. And if you can get that through the internet, through these chats, through posting videos, through social media, you can get a lot of information. Like I said, some of it can be misleading, but that's what we're here for. If you learn something, or you think you've learned something and you want to clarify, you can research it yourself, but you can also come here in the chat or to a previous video and comment. Ask away. We'll do our best to answer you. And if I don't know the answer, I'm not gonna, like I said last time, put my ego first and pretend that I know at the risk of your safety. I will always say, I don't personally know this if I don't know, and I'll direct you to someone that is way more capable than I am, way more knowledgeable on the subject. Or I'll say, leave it with me, I'll come back to you. Okay, K-Man says she came back from holiday. Okay, if you missed, sorry, not last week, the week before, K-Man came in the chat and had some advice that he needed about a lady that he was speaking to over text message, and she'd gone on holiday, and he was trying to work out, how's this going? So she came back from holiday and sent me photos and got in touch regularly whilst there. Fantastic. Net on Saturday. And all good. Oh, okay. Not on Saturday. All good, but no affection. Think I've been friend zoned, but don't talk about it in case I. I'd love to see the rest of that message. So, what I'm getting from this, sent me photos and got in touch regularly whilst there, okay? And not so much, are you saying as she's got home, you're not getting so much attention? Is that what you're saying? It can be hard, right? I know you're saying you think you're friend zoned, but I don't know if you remember last week we talked about communication. You owe it to her, she owes it to you. We all owe it to ourselves to literally just talk without judgment. No kidding or touchy-feely stuff. Message redacted. Sorry, I read that too early. It's hard, isn't it, friend zoned? It's a really strange. I know I've been in situations where I've thought, I don't know if they're into me or not. And sometimes they feel like they are, and sometimes they don't. And quite often in those moments, you don't know what to do, and you almost, but you don't want that to be real. But that might not be the case for you, Cayman. Oh, you met on Saturday. All good, but no affection. And I've been friend zoned. So no affection in terms of, were you trying anything? Because I know a lot of girls don't really like to make the first move if they're unsure. I know for me, my rejection dysphoria, cannot handle being turned down. Something I work really hard on, and it gets me every time. Rejection sensitivity dysphoria is the brain not being able to take criticism. And you hear certain things and you pick up on certain things that just aren't necessarily happening. Or maybe they are, but they're not as big a deal as your brain is helping you to feel it is. You get that strong sense of emotion. Terrified of rejection and losing her. Right, okay, so this is probably the reason that you don't really want to bring up this conversation, because it could lead to the end of the relationship. And I know that feels like it's a true possibility. However, it is quite an extreme version of reality. From what I'm seeing from the outside, is she was messaging during holiday, and then you met up. What happened? What did you do? Where did you go? Did you try to hold her hand, a little physical touch? Was there any compliments? I missed you. Any talks about? Was it kept very light-hearted? It's interesting, isn't it? Went for coffee and cake, no holding hands. Okay, coffee and cake. That seems like a. And how many times have you met before this? Is this like a regular? I know you've been speaking for a few months. It's hard. Girls really, we don't know. We don't want to presume. We've also got a level of safety privilege that we don't have as women. About 7 times. Okay. So can I ask why no holding hands? Or any kind of physical touch? Does she look at, when she looks at you, does she give you really good eye contact? Does she kind of look away a lot? It's strange because we look at visual cues and what things mean, and sometimes they really don't mean what the textbooks say they mean. I see constantly things about, like, if a girl's playing with her hair, then it's because she's into you. And honestly, that's my stim. If you see me doing this, And I'm looking at you. Unless you're my partner, I promise you, I'm just feeling my soft hair. In case she says, what are you doing? It's hard, right? I know exactly what you mean. Do you remember we talked about being our authentic self? Would the authentic you like to proceed in this relationship? And if so, confidently try to move forward. I know that sounds terrifying, but there are things that you can do to practice. So, like, if you message her and say, hey, do you want to go out? Instantly, that's you being able to do some homework with yourself, testing, does she want to see me? See what that reply says. Yes, I'd love to see you. Yeah, please, I'd love to hang out. Does she try and suggest a date? Or is it, can't really right now? Is it, do you know what I mean? What is that spectrum? And if she's like, yeah, I'd love to meet up again, okay? There's a little experiment done for yourself to see it's not that scary to move forward. Asking someone to hang out, first step done. And then when you're there, it's about, I know I try and say read her language, but, really try and focus in. Is she, I know it's really scary, and I can't think of anything other than I need you to talk to her. She always agrees to meet, no hesitation. I really think you just need to meet her. And get this out in person. If it's less scary to you to do it in written form, then maybe writing her a letter. Or if you are really good at texting through text, I don't personally really enjoy text as a communication form, but that's just me. Not everyone is like me. There's plenty of people that enjoy talking through text message. So if whatever mode of communication you prefer, I really suggest you just ask. She knows how I feel. I bought her gifts and always asking to meet up. She knows how you feel. When you tell her how does she know how you feel? Is it because you bought her gifts and always asking to meet up? Because Lindsay buys me loads of gifts and she asks me to meet up. Asks me to do things, signs me up for Tough Mudder. That doesn't necessarily mean that she's in love with me or that she wants to be with me. At least I don't think so. Okay, so yeah, you've done offerings, but these aren't necessarily clear offerings of someone that wants to pursue a romantic date. So when you say your fears of her saying, like, what are you doing? She may have exactly the same ones, that you buy her a gift and you're asking to meet up. And while she could take these cues as you wanting to pursue her, what if in her mind she acts on that and you're not, and you say, what are you doing? We're just friends. Do you see what I mean? That fear could very much be both ways. And if you get on, there's a good chance that you have very similar types of anxieties in life, which you can help each other with in the long run. Her last relationship was terrible, so trying to be patient. So has she said, I'm not looking to date anyone right now, that my relationship was too hard? Or are you assuming that this is a time that she wants to be given patience? But past relationships, man, they're hard. And quite frankly, if she is struggling with that, with peace and love, I think it's best for your own mental health to look after yourself from that too. No, so you're saying that she's not said that she wants this time. You're assuming. You know that saying, don't you? When you assume, it's something like, you make an ass out of me, something like that. Doesn't make any sense. But yeah, no assuming. What are you assuming for? There's no point in assuming. Nobody knows anything. Ever. Especially this day and age with mental health and social media. No one knows what anything is anymore. What's real? What's AI and what's real? So, literally, talk to her. Say, I know your last relationship has. And you don't even have to bring that up. What am I saying? Let's get ourselves in K-Man's mind. We're talking to this lovely lady. What kind of thing could you say to her? If anyone else is watching in the chat as well, dating advice, what would you do? There's a girl that you think, well, there's a girl that you like, but you think you might be friend zoned. How do you navigate this? I'm telling you, we've got to communicate. The only way we'll know anything. As long as you speak the same language, you will be able to communicate. Stay respectful, stay open-minded, have that understanding that you might not get the answer that you're looking for right now, but it is still going to be the answer that you need. It might not feel great. Deserted Dimension, beautiful name. Tell her how you feel. Exactly. Communicate. Imagine if that was her. Deserted Dimension, where do you get your name from? That's beautiful. My mama gave it to me. Yeah, no assuming. We can't assume, right? Voice cracked then. Getting emotional. If I tell her, I worry I won't see her again if she doesn't feel the same. I know that sounds horrible, but there's a core belief in there that I feel like we're not addressing. So if you tell someone that you like them and they respond back with, oh, I like you too, great, we can work from there. But there are often times in this life that the people that we like don't like us back. And that can really hurt. That can feel so rejecting. It's just not, it's not what people should be going through in life. But unfortunately, we have to. And I feel like the more that we go through that in life, the more easier it can kind of get. But not really. Do you know what I mean? Like a breakup and that ending of an idea of what could be is heartbreaking. But the reason I say there's an underlying core belief there is it's something I feel like that would even be best to work on for yourself, so that when you are in a relationship, these types of anxieties and fears don't play out in a different way. So if I tell her I worry I won't see her again if she doesn't feel the same, unfortunately, we can't control other people. We just can't. So if by chance you're worried you won't see her again, if she's not with someone right now, it might be a case of her saying, you know, my last relationship was tough, I would like a little bit of space, or I actually see you as a really good friend. And then you've got the decision there. That becomes your choice. Can I be a friend? And being honest with yourself, can I just be a friend and not hope to take it any further? I'm not saying it won't. There are plenty of times when emotional and romantic relationships have developed over time from a platonic relationship. But to put all your eggs in one basket. You watch Love Island? Don't put all your eggs in one basket. I don't have many friends. I can go places with her. If it's not mutual, that door is closed. Okay. And that's something that you've decided. If that's not mutual, the door is closed. Because if she's a really nice person and she is someone that contributes towards your social life, if she is, could she be one of your friends? I know we put very little appreciation on platonic relationships, and this is where the ace community, the asexual community in the LGBT lot, they need a little bit more of a shout out, because they put so much love and emphasis into their friendships, into their family, and very little into like that, obviously, like romantic relationship. That means nothing to them, really. It doesn't do anything for them. And quite a lot of the time, they'll go to the doctors and they'll be told that this is bad, that they are low on libido, that it is a symptom of mental health, that they just need maybe a hormone imbalance. And their whole existence gets denied. It's crazy. But friendships, sometimes it doesn't work out. And I know for me, I've had quite a few people that I thought I really liked and I wanted to be with, but they didn't like me back. But just through being in the same friendship group, you kind of hang out more, and we'd become really close friends. However, there was also another relationship that someone was a very close friend of mine. I spent so much time with him. And I always kind of in the back of my mind had an inkling that he was into me. There'd be certain instances, like if we'd spent quite a lot of the day together, where he would kind of like brush my leg, or just kind of look into my eyes just a little bit longer, smiling. And I really liked this person as a friend. I loved hanging out with them. And it was almost like I didn't really want to admit that that's what they wanted me for. And I think this person would have gone through their whole relationship with me not saying anything, had I not gone to university and got really bogged down with like actual work that I didn't actually end up seeing a lot of my friends. And he took it quite personally. And I got this long message saying like, I'm in love with you, blah, 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 blah. My partner was like, excuse me? Excuse me? Yeah. So I very quickly had to shut that down out of respect for my own relationship. I couldn't fairly hang out with another man, but also for the sake of this person that I was really good friends with. I care about them still, they're still a very like dear person in my heart. But for them, I didn't think it was fair that I continue to hang out with them knowing what I knew now. Is waiting for her to make a move an option? It's an option. Is it the option you really want to take? Because we could be waiting all day. We could be waiting a hot minute. And in the meantime, what are you doing with your life? What are you doing? Deserted Dimensions. I just came up with it, huh? Thank you. You're a creative goddess. Oh, God. Yeah, it's waiting for her to make a move an option. Of course it is. But why would you want to? Now is the time. I get a sense that you struggle with self-esteem. That there's a core issue here, that you don't feel like you are enough. Because I feel like, and maybe I'm getting this wrong, K-Man, if you did feel confident that you could offer what she needed and what she wanted, that you are that person, then there would have been none of this waiting for her to make a move, none of this anxiety about trying to move forward. And this is such a common core belief. I know I struggle with it. And it comes from many things: the childhood experience, past traumas in relationships. You can really start to lose the value of your own self-worth, um, and it impacts the rest of our lives. I know so many people who, it's that attachment style, right? That insecure attachment style. Is it avoidant? Is it when you're faced with something that's a little bit difficult? Do you run away? Would you rather hide? Or are you someone that draws closer to someone? The more you fear that rejection, does it make you try to band even closer to that person rather than run away and hide? Are you that one that, no, don't leave me? Mine's avoidant. My partner's avoidant in the most loving way, and it's quite often the case. But I am the anxious. um, so oftentimes when he's like pulling away, I'm going, hey, come back, hey, come back, and learning how to navigate that. I think for any couple that has those differing uh, attachment styles, it can be difficult to navigate. But once you can understand that that person doesn't hate you, they are just needing some space right now. And as much as that avoidant person realizes, okay, I can have space, but I can't disappear for 5 days because they're going to have a heart attack. I can't do that. So learning to have this middle ground of, okay, I understand in a relationship, you like that space, you like that quiet time. And is that worth me compromising to be in a relationship with someone? And you take each relationship by its merit. And ultimately, I decided that mine was. Don't you think so? See? Catmull. Yeah, my partner has an anxious attachment style too, but we're working on it. It's insane, and the minute you trigger each other, is World War 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. How many times you've blown up with each other? It can be insane. Meow, you're getting some love. She doesn't care. She is like Naomi Campbell if she was a person. That's her personality. Um, yeah, that anxious attachment style. They don't make these words easy to say. They really don't. Um, it's about being able to recognize in the moment as quickly as you can, this is going to trigger me. And the step even before that is knowing that's about to go into something that triggers us. Before even that, going, we don't tackle that unless we have a therapist in the room. But there's some things that you just have to recognize, and maybe it's a bit of a signal to each other. I know for us, humor is a really good aspect. If we can kind of make light of something or joke something earlier on, it kind of gets us through that um, that triggering stage. That it could go fight or flight, or could I remain in my, you don't want to be in that emotional state or that lizard brain where we were only focused on who lives and who dies. There is no point, once you get to that position, once you are triggered, once your heart rate is going, once you're crying, emotional, there is no resolution. Absolutely no way, especially with these two types of, because what you feel is the most hurtful. Like, how could you leave me when that happened? Is nowhere near as bad to that other person as how could you keep coming at me? Do you see what I mean? It's like the worst thing you could do to each other are two very different things. So how do you get one another to understand where you're coming from while you're triggered? Neither one of you is trying to communicate. You're just trying to attack. I need to get puppets, don't I? So yeah, my best advice for that is get out of the room, both of you. Just turn around, walk the other way, go and chill out. And upon re-entering, make sure that you've taken several deep breaths. And I mean several, don't rush them. In through the nose, out through the mouth, whatever breathing pattern you like. Literally, do not miss that tactic, that bit out. You will open your prefrontal cortex. Bit of science for you there. That is the part of the brain that is good for planning, reasoning, making decisions. That is the part of the brain that we want to activate when we're then conversing with our partner again. The second you go back from that executive state down to the emotional, down to the limbic, down to that first lizard brain part, get out of the room. Wait till you're there. And it's the same with children, right? You can't, quite a lot of the time, we get this like, they just need a good slap. Okay, don't agree with it. I think what we need to be doing is teaching. Quite often we look at kids and they do something that is crazy. They'll throw something, it will hit you in the head. And if an adult did that, I'm swinging. Like, we're having words. Do you know what I mean? So when a child does it to you, your own child, how dare you? How do you deal with that? And if you're not in a good mood yourself, it's going to be harder to navigate that. Again, within a relationship, if you are bringing a bad mood into your relationship, it's going to be harder to manage those triggers when you are talking to each other. So when you're trying to maintain an example for your kid, you want to try and remain as calm as possible. So the first thing we want to do is work out, why did you just hit me? why did you just throw that at me? What was happening there? And there's a great guy on Instagram who goes through things like this, the emotional brain, in executive brain, blah blah blah. And he says, like, it's a great point. Quite often children of this young age are trying to make a joke. Like, I don't know if you've seen a 3-year-old's cartoons or the kind of stuff that they watch, but it is all like beep boop bop boop, like people getting hit over the head, like boop boop boop. Like, do you know what I mean? It's very like crazy, and not my kind of material. I'm more of a Crystalia fan. But that is a 3-year-old's kind of humor, and we've all been there when a joke has not landed. We've all listened to someone just if you've never been to an open mic stand-up night where these startup amateur comedians are trying their best, it might sometimes be funnier than an actual professional, just for those moments. I strongly recommend you going to them. And like many big comedians will say, if you've not failed on stage, then you've not even tried to get better. Like, you need that to be able to develop as a comedian. What was I saying? What was I saying? There was a reason I was going into this. Yeah, the joke didn't land. But we've all been there when a joke hasn't landed. I know for me in my relationship, I'm quite a like jokey person, and sometimes humor, like I said, does work for us early on. If I can catch that, you're starting to argue and you're starting to like pick, if I can make a joke and get through that, perfect. Sometimes I'm in a jokey mood, they're not. So I can make that initial joke and it doesn't land, it gets way worse. It's taken personally, it's taken in the way that I didn't intend. And you try and say, oh, I'm joking. And they're like, yeah, joking. You're just saying that now that it's hurt. And it's like, oh, how do you get out of that? And again, it's just that no one's trying to actually understand. People are just trying to hurt in that emotional state. That reptilian brain is just trying to fight. Meanwhile, the emotional brain is trying to hurt. You know what I mean? It's giving me that ability to really hurt you. I will say what I want. At no point is my brain trying to think of a solution. And when it does maybe hit that point, guarantee you that other attachment style has not hit that point yet, because you work in different ways. One of you, like me, I can come to a decision having an argument with you. I can, you know what? Yeah, my partner could never do that. He'd need that time, separation, to come back and be like, I'm sorry. And my boyfriend said I remind him of Patrick Star from SpongeBob. That's so like, I wouldn't know how to take that. How would I take that? I suppose out of everyone, at least you're not Squidward. Yeah, okay, other than Sandy, maybe that's the best person in SpongeBob to be compared to. Like, is he saying you're thick with peace and love? He's Squidward. Shout out to the Squidwards. There are people in this world. They are a type of people. Is my partner a Squidward? I think he might be. I've never considered this before. Deserted dimensions, what have you done? Oh, not a Squidward. Oh no. Oh no. Okay, man, I don't know if you're still in the chat or not, but I believe in you, my dude. You've got this. Go and talk to her. Lay it out there. Unless this friendship or this connection really does mean to you, something to you right now, then of course don't rush into it. I'm not here to tell you to like really change how you would normally go about things. If this is something that feels more okay for you, then go for it. But either way, I strongly recommend you work on how you feel about yourself. I'm more worried. I'm more concerned about your welfare and your happiness and how you are dealing. Relationships can be really tough. It can be really hard. And just putting your best foot forward, being respectful, being open-minded is the best thing you can do. And the fact that you're on here asking for advice tells me that you're a really good guy. I can wait, I'm patient. Trying to improve myself at the same time. Perfect. You've just given me the best message I needed all morning, afternoon. That will carry me through till Wednesday. And yeah, work on yourself. Because that often is the time when we do pick up these love interests, where people really do start to see us when you work on yourself. I know quite often it's a bit of a, what's the word? Terrible at remembering words when there's a camera in my face. A phenomenon where after a breakup, just that initial break can make you feel like, okay, done with that person. But then you start to see them maybe doing stuff on their Instagram feed and you're like, oh, damn. Okay. Okay. But also, I feel like it's kind of like a job interview, right? Where if you're just sat in front of someone saying, I'm good at this, I can do this, I can do this, it's a bit like, how do I know? I need to see, right? Have you got a portfolio? Have you got some references from past people that you've worked with? Like, I think it'd be way more interesting for you to approach partners in a like, hey, let's go and do this, let's go and hang out. And while you do that, you are showing the best sides of yourself. Not the anxious part that's worried if she's going to like you or not. Not the part of you that's like, oh, should I do this? Shouldn't I do this? Will she find it cool or not? just authentically practice being yourself in her company. And you might feel that she makes a move. However, remember, girls can be difficult. Some people are really not good at picking up cues, or in the same way are scared of acting on them like you might feel. Okay, man, if she's not interested, I might attract someone else. I don't want that, but it's an option. I remember right now, it feels like I don't want that. People in the chat, how many times have you been in relationships or been into someone and thought, I cannot imagine even thinking about someone else? I cannot even imagine trying to, that idea of when you're liking someone and you're trying to get to know them, or even at the end of a relationship where you feel like you might be losing them, you try and work out like, I don't want that, that's an option. Sorry, I got confused. I thought there was a new message and there wasn't one, and then I brain ninja'd myself. Kevin Russell, I saw he said something about thanks for listening, and then got rid of the message. Who was listening to Kevin? I don't think I was listening to Kevin, and I'm very sorry. I would like to listen to Kevin. Desserts Damage says, yeah, I don't think I have. I'd love to know what that was about. I forgot what we were even talking about. Oh, I need to hire a mod, but also someone that reminds me what I'm talking about as it's happening. I think it's really interesting that you talk about this authentic style, because I've been watching Love Island, the All Stars one. I used to watch it a long time ago. I've not watched it for a while. Being interested in other dimensions. Yeah, okay. You can't imagine it, right? Being interested in other people in a relationship. But that is because right there and then, okay, man, I'm here for you. I'm finishing my thought. When you're there in that moment, it is difficult to see past that. But how many times have we gone past that? We've had to deal with that grief. We've had to deal with that relationship breakdown, or that relationship not making it to any kind of fruition. It can be, it can be so hard and difficult to get through, but ultimately we get there. This too shall pass. This too shall pass. Do you know that story? King Solomon. Everything, unfortunately, at some point ends. And that saying, if we love something, set it free. And if it's meant to be, it'll come back. Something like that. I think it's meant to rhyme. Maybe I didn't get that right. But yeah, try not to operate from a place of fear, from a place of lack, because that, for one, doesn't outwardly look attractive to other people. You want to be, that's not that authentic self, right? You're acting from fear. You need to be understanding strongly, who am I? I keep doing this. It means something. In Gestalt therapy, my therapist would tell me to name this. What is this? What's this doing? It's representing me. It's breaking my fingers. That's what it's doing. Yeah, don't come from a place of lack. Don't come from a place of fear, because you're already setting yourself up for a difficult journey. We need to be understanding, what are my good qualities? What are the parts of me that make me me, that I can offer this world? And just going forward with that. When you know that you've got stuff to offer, then you know there's going to be tons of people out there that you could potentially meet and have relationships with. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. And that's what takes me back to Love Island. Are we watching Love Island? Is anyone watching the All Stars Love Island? Like I said, I've not watched it for a few years, but I ended up randomly catching it. And there seems to be this misunderstanding of my authentic self. If you've watched Love Island, then you'll see this play out in the same way every time, where someone's talking to two people and they are navigating it in that kind of like where they're telling each person like, no, nothing's really like happening, nothing's really happening, but to each person they're saying very different things about them, right? Like, oh no, I really like you, yeah, I really like you, no, she's nothing, she's nothing. And there's still a level of like, well, we're talking, do you know what I mean? Like, we're still talking to each other, but you know, it's probably not a thing. They're playing it down. They might not be lying, but they're playing it down. Then when it gets brought up about them, this person kind of stands 10 toes down, like, no, I was being my authentic self. I was just being me. I was just playing it how I would. Look, I can't do anything wrong. I was just playing, I was just being my authentic self. Can't help that. And I think we misunderstand what the authentic self is. Sure, that could be your authentic self. Similarly, doesn't mean you have to be like that. So, my authentic self is quite judgmental. And I've had to actively not be that way. And when I talk about that, it's it's rooted in trauma from a long time ago. Something that I've had to unravel, something that I have to be consciously aware of and not let it enter my practice or into any of the people that I'm helping. I've watched some people react to it. If you've not, yeah, get on the Love Island trend, or don't, because it's quite brain rotty, I suppose. But it's interesting for the relationship dynamics, watching how these things play out. Yeah, this resting on like, oh, that's just who I am. That's not your authentic self, or at least shouldn't be. Do you know what I mean? Work better. We can all develop. Every day is a day for new learning and for improving yourself. And yeah, it's just a lot of like bad behavior being excused for authentic self. Similarly, there is an amazing documentary on Netflix with Will Ferrell and his friend Harper Lee. Is that right? Wait, Harper Lee's the writer from To Kill a Mockingbird, right? Maybe I've got that wrong. But Harper is a transgender woman and she wrote for SNL working with Will Ferrell for a lot of his career. And it's a beautiful piece of during COVID, this Harper realizes or takes life into her own hands and says, I'm going to live life as a woman. And she sent a message to Will as a long-term friend saying, this is what I'm going to be doing. Life might be a little bit different now, but I'm just letting you know this is it. This is me being the woman that I am now. And Will was like, okay, what do we do with this? How do we introduce you to the world? And they went on a long road trip throughout America and they explore what it means now for their relationship, for how they operate individually, how the dynamics of their relationship, how different are they now? And they travel to different parts of America that are not quite as accepting, but then Will Ferrell will come in and be like, and everyone will be like, some people would still have some like right wing fascist takes on it. Some people would be a little bit more judgy, but then come around. And then there was people that were just full on supportive, that were loving this like journey that they were on. There was a part that came up that I find really interesting, and it's again being a transgender woman living your authentic self, that is, it's just one part of one person being their authentic self, but that is a prime example of someone being their authentic self. But then she was speaking about how she'd put on certain types of makeup, and the more makeup that she wore, the less her she felt, the less authentic, the less beautiful she felt. But technically, she was wearing things to make her more passable, is the term. And I wish I could jump through the screen, because as a woman, for my whole life, cisgendered woman, I fully relate to trying to be that pretty girl. And the more that you try and do it, the more you're like, oh, I feel like a dude in a dress. It can be really triggering. And you're like, hold on, I feel way prettier and more feminine in some leggings, in a nice top, with my hair done, and a bit of a wing. Do you know what I mean? That's all I kind of. If I try and wear a dress, and I know Lindsay feels exactly the same, when she tries to wear a dress, she looks down and she's like, what? When I look at Lindsay wearing a dress, she looks hot as hell, beautiful. But I fully understand what you mean when you look down, because I see a rugby player in a dress when I look down, and I'm not beefy, like, I'm not, like, size 10, 12 UK, I'm not, you know? And even if I was, who cares, right? There is plenty of big women that dress beautifully in the most, way more feminine clothes than I could ever pull off. And I think it rang true to that understanding of beauty standards are not helping you to be your most authentic self. They're helping you to mask more. As autistic people, we understand masking. ADHDers, we understand masking. But the general public is being made to mask just through these unhealthy beauty standards. And it breaks my heart that a transgender woman was experiencing these, but at the same time, it's kind of like, welcome to being a woman. Do not let that part of you feel like you shouldn't be the beautiful woman that you are. Because I'm telling you, quite a lot of us feel that way. Quite a lot of us do. I just think it's really interesting. If you haven't watched it, I really suggest going to Netflix, watching, I think it's called Will and Harper. It's an amazing piece. Really speaks to the transgender experience, especially of someone that was from such a heavily masculine dominated world, you know, writing for SNL. Deserted Dimension, I needed to hear this today. You absolute sweetheart. That's so sweet. Deserted Dimension literally is the best thing I've read since this year started. So thank you so much for joining us. I will be back on Wednesday at 12 o'clock. Actually 12 o'clock, not 12:30. And we'll have the laptop, we can go through things, and we'll talk more about your authentic self. I also kind of want to get into making some like zines, if we can make zines on stream. If you don't know what a zine is, it is like, it comes from the word magazine, which comes from another word. It's just a small little handmade book on whatever topic you like. And I think they're really great in trying to understand the authentic self. Like, this zine is on me, of this part of me. And some people find it a little bit confusing. You know, my attachment style or my autism might come across confusing to some people. So if I could explain to someone in a small little book that's in a creative way, expressing who I am, then I can learn solidly. That's me. And I can move forward in the world with this like visual representation of like, that's me. So yeah, Wednesday, zine making. If you'd like to join, get yourself some paper, get yourself some pens, print out some words if you'd like to be putting them onto it. whatever you want to do, come and join us. Or you can just watch me, and we can talk about mental health, well-being, a bit of dating. Cayman, literally. Thank you so much for joining us and always being so open and sharing. I hope with all my heart that you get a big long message declaring her love to you. But at the same time, more than that, I hope that you can identify your own true, authentic self, be really, really confident in who that person is, and move life through with that person. You. And whoever you meet along your way will be lucky as hell. Oh, I got a lot of paper and pens. We love paper and pens in this group. If you don't realise, a different human design, it stands for ADHD. You can get this top on our website, by the way, adifferenthumandesign.co.uk. There's also a load of resources that you can download to help you with certain social matters, certain diagnoses, symptoms. There's a great book on anxiety, another on ADHD, and the 5 senses is a fantastic one. But that's on our website. I was saying something else, and I can't remember. So I'm just going to leave it there. I will be back Wednesday, 12 p.m. Bring your pens, bring your paper. Let's make some zines. Oh, that's what I'm going to say, yeah. We champion the different, but we do it through creativity. We do it through the blueprints, showing examples of fantastic people that we can be inspired by. Not just pretty people on the internet getting paid to influence you. Unless someone wants to pay me, then I will accept. Cayman, I love this platform. I told my friend about it. Miss you. Oh, bless you, Cayman. Please do share, like, subscribe, all of that juiciness. Thank you for coming back. I love you that you come to this platform. And yeah, please come back on Wednesday, 12 in the afternoon. My cat has just ruined something upstairs. I'll let you know what that is on Wednesday. Take care, guys. Thank you so much for joining us. And if you've got anything else that you'd like to ask, you can email us now. The email's open again. A different podcast official at gmail.co.uk, at gmail.com, apologies. Or you can comment on the video or a previous video and I'll get back to you. Goodbye, guys. Goodbye, Deserted Dimensions. Goodbye, Cayman. Goodbye to Kevin. I wasn't listening to him, but take care. Bye.